Wasn't I already there?
I should take my racer deck out for one final time before they all rotate. Also, so sad.
All right. See, so that is live. Ink. And done. Winter. We are live. Oh, that's not the one I wanted.
Oh, like what is happening?
Welcome to the news.
That's the wrong show.
That's the wrong show.
I forgot that you had pulled that for the crossover episode, dual episode. I don't know what you want to call that.
The co-op episode.
Yeah, that's the word.
No, I was looking for I don't think I have it on here. Maybe I have it here. The kind of like the game show music, like
Oh
the
yeah,
one
yeah.
that I used for the. I thought that's what that was, but it's not. It's
Hoping this room doesn't warm up as I sit in here. The quickest thing I could grab was a sweatshirt because I realized I had a shirt on today that just had my school on it. I'm like, I don't think I should wear that to a live show.
probably not. Although I'm guessing there's not going to be anyone so obsessed with Pilot on the Bread and Butter podcast that they're going to stalk you. But better
I
safe than
hope
sorry.
not, but
I want the shirt from The Simpsons where it's just like school.
but yeah, I need to sit down and plan my summer projects. But I was talking because I'm like, well, I want to do this and I need to do this, but to do that, I have to do this first because of how weird the space is and like my kitchen and stuff. Like a bunch of my appliances need redone, but I have to do stuff to get them out first.
Makes sense. Mr. Hat.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Just so you know, we
Making-
are live. I just set everything up, so we are out there in the world.
Hello, world.
Not that we get a lot of people usually live, but we're working on it. It's a new thing.
It's no one's in podcasting for the
chat.
fame. We're here because we're talking anyway.
This is true.
Let's see here.
Oops.
It reminded me of old times when my key lights didn't turn on before the podcast 2 minutes ago because you need to have tech issues before 2 minutes, or are you even podcasting?
Yeah, because it's usually like this has been nice and smooth since we switched over to Riverside, but we also have like people that don't have the right browser or their browser is not letting their mic work, and it's usually things we can't solve.
Yeah,
just gotta-
it's. I mean, I usually use Firefox, but Microsoft Edge is pre-installed on every computer in history, so.
It still baffles me that Firefox isn't supported by Riverside.
I
was not on my
don't
bingo card
know
when we started it.
why, but I'm assuming there's some kind of privacy gating that it doesn't work with. That's my theory, and that is a total guess.
Yeah, I have no idea. But this has been a much better solution than, okay, download Audacity. Now you have to set this up so you can record. Then you have to
It's
send us
the
a thing
dark
back.
ages. Yes, it is still. It is. I still have trouble trusting the these all-inclusive services, but they have certainly gotten a lot better since what 5-10 years ago. And the manual recording has stayed exactly the same. And so I think it's fine to allow progress to work.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the like we've run into a couple times where we've had on special guests and they've been like, "Oh wait, I didn't actually end up recording. Sorry." And it's like, "Okay, we have a backup. That's
It's
fine."
Please still unplug.
this is it makes sense to me. Do you want my local recording?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
So far things have been gone swimmingly with this for the most part. They have a little thing they make clips and stuff that I can work through and I can actually work on getting clips. Their AI sucks, like most AI. They'll be like, "Hey, I want this time code to this time code. When Bob says this, this is how it starts," and it ends up giving me something completely different. It's like I'm giving you everything. Just give me the damn clip, and they're like, "Nope, never mind." All right.
So our biggest issue with this has been when I keep accidentally unplugging my mic and I have to leave and rejoin to get it to pick it back up.
Yeah, 'cause it said it's
7 tracks for me.
it starts 7 files, and I have to like plug and play wherever Pilot is. We've come a long
That's
way
how that
from
works.
yeah. It's so if they disconnect and reconnect, like who do we have on that just educated?
Yeah, who
Collins.
was? Yes.
Oh my god, that was a nightmare. Because he disconnected like 7 times or more than that, I think. But what can you do?
That sounds unpleasant. Hopefully I will not do that, but I'm also not going to say it out loud because fate is not without a sense of humor.
This is true.
Mine is
Oh.
normally cat and cord related, so
Quit ragging on my cord, dude.
but the cat is obsessed with whatever is outside the window, so we're good for now.
For now.
Here's hoping.
Right. Are you guys ready to talk about games and stuff?
I am.
All right. Pilot, you good?
Yes.
All right. Then here we go. Actually gonna have to read tonight. Welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we're serving up the basics for collectible card game improvement. This is bonus episode 1 or 1.5, depending on how you look at it. I am joined as always by Pilot. Pilot, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. The 1.5 is because we did have a bonus episode where Doc retired, and that wasn't really a bonus episode, but it was kind of like jammed in there in the middle. So, but today we have a very, very special returning guest, Ridiculous Hat. Ridiculous Hat, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you? I guess I am a returning guest. It's been a little bit.
It has been a little bit. It has been a little bit. So what have you been playing lately?
Lot of games. Illustra's the one I work on. I have been playing a bunch of that. I just came back from a game night last night. Slay the Spire 2 is probably my go-to at the moment. I do more Sudokus now. It wasn't the life that I thought I'd have for myself, but I try and do a Sudoku or 2 every day. I beat Saros a couple of weeks ago. That was really fun. And Mina the Hollower just came out. I've wanted to play more of that. I played for like 30 minutes and I haven't had time to play more, but I'm gonna play more.
I've actually been doing Sudokus lately too for the last few weeks, and it gets so frustrating when you get down to like that last like 5 or 6, and like then it's like, wait a second, something's wrong, and I'm like, screw it, I'm not gonna. I've abandoned about 30% of the ones that I haven't finished, but that's okay.
There are
Uh,
techniques. You got to learn the techniques. What have you all been playing?
Pilot, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've been playing Forza Horizon. Still really enjoying that game. Talked about it on the main episode. I finished kind of the main chunk of that, and now just kind of working through completion and seasonal and kind of stuff that they add in. Have been playing some Slay the Spire, not as much as I want to, but I will probably play more of that as I get on to summer break. Been enjoying that, just kind of trying to find what works for the play styles that I enjoy with things that are changed from the first one. I did get in first one I can never quite get with defect, like the zero cost attack stuff to work for me. I just never got enough of the pieces, and I did finish a run with that, and it is quite enjoyable. And there's one of the bosses, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get there, and then I finished a turn and like 2/3 of their health were gone. I'm like, I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I figured this out.
Ah, very nice. So I've been so obviously the normal Hearthstone stuff, but I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. I used to do Friday Night Civ, but we played Civ 7. I think we kind of played it out. So we switched to Baldur's Gate, and neither of us have played. My friend Justin that I play with, neither of us have played Baldur's Gate. So we're kind of we played Baldur's Gate 2 way back in the day when it was like on a Tandy or something. But we've been kind of running through it and trying to figure it out as we go and only playing when we play. So I might go back and start. I can't get ahead of where we are, but I might start a new character just so I can figure out some of the more mechanics and stuff like that. But that game is so bonkers because it's like go kill the goblins. You go to kill the goblins, and you're like we're both level like 5 or 4, and we got a couple NPCs, and then there's like 17 of them, and it's like what the hell are we supposed to do here? And we just get rolled. So we're working on figuring that out. Been playing Hades 2, which is we'll talk about that a little bit later. And mostly outside of that, I've been playing Minecraft with my kid on the weekends, which is he kids they lose interest. We had a big server. I did all this work, and then they're like, hey, we want to do a new server with new mod packs. Fine. So I do the things that I normally do. Is like when we get to start playing, I find a place. I start breeding villagers. I start making like a trading hall, and then I start making an iron farm, and that's kind of where I go. And it's like, hey, we have stuff now. Let's go for it. But we just killed the dragon because he wanted to hurry up to get to jetpacks and Electra and all this stuff. So whatever. But Hat, outside of gaming, what's been your life? What you been doing?
So, how do I answer this most genuinely? I've been aging. So, I turned 40 last month, which has been, I'm not going to say enjoyable experience, but a humbling one. Um, and what I've really learned, many of you who are tuning in, especially this podcast, you were tuning in to me because you knew me in my Hearthstone days, both as a player, content creator, employee, whatever you want to call it. The How do I put this? There was a bunch of life debts that I had really allowed to compound in a lot of different ways, uh, both during my movie theater days, and which also dovetailed with a lot of the Hearthstone stuff, into when I was working at Blizzard, where there was time that I wasn't spending on things I was supposed to be spending it on, and so it's going to sound fairly pedestrian, but keeping up with the dishes and making the bed every day and folding my own laundry and taking weekend trips with the wife here and there and just kind of being boring takes up some time. That's time that I just wasn't allowing myself to spend or have. I wouldn't even call it negative space. I'm doing stuff. There's stuff to do. But and I'm not even sure I find myself playing fewer games, but I play games in smaller chunks, and I find myself getting tired a little bit earlier these days, because I'm allowing myself to. So, a lot of what I'm experiencing would be a pretty boring pedestrian life, I think, which is nice enough. But it also means that I don't have anything exciting to share here. I do travel for work more now. And so I got back from a trip last weekend. And this past weekend, like I mentioned, I went out to game night with the fellas last night. And so that was drive a bunch, eat dinner, play some games, come home. So fairly boring. And I don't mind fairly boring, but it is a bit of a shift, if that answers your
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. Sounds like you had some what we call technical debt, really, and you're just kind of catching back up now and resituating. That's pretty nice. How about
You can
yourself,
call it
Pilot?
that.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, we had our last work day for school this year, so technically kind of done. I have extended days, so I have some work that I still need to do this week, just getting inventory and instruments and everything taken care of. But I'll be one of the few people in the building rather than everyone in the building. So sometimes that's nice because then there's also fewer distractions. So just that, and now kind of, Tito and I were kind of talking about before the show, now that I have that time, just kind of planning out what I desperately need to get done this summer, around the house, kind of in similar spot to what Hat was talking about. Just like I need to do adult things more often than I do or have time for or make time for sometimes. It's just like let's do this summer instead of pushing it off another year or 5 like I keep doing. So, kind of making a plan and figuring out what all I can get done in the house, out the house, just kind of all the stuff that gets put off.
Now, Hat, with some of the stuff that you've done, have there been things where it's like you've put off for 6 months, or you just haven't gotten to, and then it took you like 7.5 minutes to accomplish?
You know the answer to this already. You're just asking, so I say yes. Like, and some of it, yes, but actually, I found a lot of that low hanging fruit has mostly been dealt with over the last year or so. Like there's obviously some of it that I know won't take long. At this point, there's too much information for me to be unaware that something can feel burdensome but I also know that it's going to be easy. That is a thing that like I know that that's going to happen, and I will still occasionally put that off if not doing it has a low cost. But there are times when when you notice that you haven't done something quick, and I'm at the point in my life now where instead, what if I just do it now? The thought that I hear in my head, which echoes my father, which if I grow up to be like him, that's a good thing. You'll be a happier person if you do this now, and that is basically always correct.
Yeah, I try to be the same way, but the ADHD kicks in, and it's like I need to go do this, and I build a stack of things, and then I have to start popping things off the stack one by one because I was like, hey, I need to go fix this light bulb. Oh, hey, look, this is over here, and oh, by the way, I need to get that. Where was I? What was my original goal? Whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Speaking
So
as a person with a brain that works similarly, I'm not saying that I don't get it. What I will say is that with enough training, I have learned the pressure of leaving those things on the plate one way or another will get to you, and it will have a bigger cost than just trying to do things as they go. That has at least been the spot that I found myself in, but I also have the negative space to be able to explore that at the moment.
actually, I've experienced a real cost of about $32 this couple weeks because we didn't have an episode last week. We had an episode yesterday. We took the holiday off, and 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden, Adobe stopped working for me because I haven't paid for it since like February, and I've been using Audition to do. I've gotten off of Premiere. I use Resolve, but I still use Audition because it's comfort. It's what I learned for thanks to the School of Hat podcasting, and I was happy with it. And I knew I'm like, well, I can use Farlight and Resolve, or I can use Audacity, or I can use something else. And I had 2 weeks to figure something out, and I didn't. And then today I came home after work and I'm trying to edit the podcast episode from last night. And I'm like, I'm putting in Resolve, and it's like, well, this doesn't quite match up how I do it. And the sound's a little weird. And I'm like, I'll try to do Audition. That didn't, I mean, Audacity. And that was kind of like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. So I was a weak man, and I paid the $32 or whatever it was to get another month of Audition, so I can now kick that can down the road and try to solve it later. But for now, I was able to get stuff in, and especially having two things to edit in a row. I'm like, I'm not messing with this. I'm gonna drive myself crazy. I can afford it for right now, so let's just do it. So I am a weak man. I know I said I'm getting off Audition. I will do it soon, but it's, what is it? There's a time cost and there's a cost, and I chose to do the cost instead of whatever. But outside of that, I have been very much hooked on Dungeon Crawler Carl books. I've been listening to the audiobooks, which I highly recommend. If you have I believe it's only on Audible, but I could be wrong. You can buy them or whatever. But the world building and if I try to explain the book to you, it sounds stupid. It's like the world is destroyed and these guys are in a dungeon, and they talk like, hey, and I found a ring and it had +4 constitution and blah blah. You're like, how does that sounds stupid? I don't want to read a book like that. But they do it really really well, and I can't stop. Like, I just picked up I had one credit on Audible because I've been driving, but I usually get books that last 40 hours. I already was doing this, and I upgraded Audible, and then I've already gone through my 2 credits, and I still have like a bunch of time left. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do because there's 4 more books that I still need to read before I get to the end of the series that there's that right now, and it is what it is. But yeah. So this is going to, so couple quick administrative notes. This is going to be a different episode than we normally do. Obviously, it's a bonus episode, so it's going to have just kind of a little bit different format. It's a little more relaxed. Not that we're not relaxed normally, but you know what I mean. There's no like main topic or whatever like that. We have a guide of what we want to talk about, but that's about it. And I want to say, if you are listening to this and you use a podcatcher and you only keep the most recent episode of a podcast, which I know I do too, we did have a normal episode yesterday. So if you're listening to this episode and you didn't catch our episode with the Gyminator and you want to catch that, make sure you go back and download that one, because otherwise you're going to miss it and you'll be sad, because Gyminator is great and it was a great conversation about Cataclysm and looking back on that and whatnot. Um, so, Hap, how long has it been since you've been on a podcast?
So I mean, podcast style content is a thing in the card space now. So there's some that I've done for work, like in January and March of this year, I was on a couple. I'm like in some of our ads now, which is a fascinating feeling. Um, there, I I have guested on a couple of Lustrous podcasts late last year. Hearthstone podcast been a lot longer. I don't remember exactly when. I think it was whatever episode of Coin Conceit I was on, and otherwise I don't think that I was able to guest on any. And so it's been a little while there. I don't yap as much as I used to, but an episode here or there, I try and keep up with it, and I've been able to do that every so often. I keep trying to infiltrate any company I work for, like we should do an official podcast, and we're hopefully going to do that. Hopefully going to do that, but I keep having the idea and then not doing anything with it, and so we'll see where that ends up actually going.
I remember that week before you took the job at Blizzard, you did the gauntlet and you went on like 17 podcasts in 5 days, and it was really fantastic.
Yes, in retrospect, probably ill-advised. I don't regret doing it, but I wouldn't do it again.
Totally fair. So, how did you get started in gaming?
In gaming, I like Commodore 64. It seems at this point like I've been asked this question before. I've answered this question before. I've been the one asking this question before. Do you ever ask someone, how did you learn you liked listening to music? How did you know that you liked eating food? So I think that it's I understand that games still have some kind of definition of being an art form that people don't necessarily engage with. But at this point, with the amount of people with Candy Crush on their phone or playing the Wordle or whatever, I think it's just a thing that people do. And so my particular path with enjoying video games started with night games on the Commodore 64 when I was 3 or 4 years old. But I, how that path turned into what it is now, the interesting part is probably more how I was able to careerify it. But as far as actually getting into it, I played games and they were awesome. I kept doing that, and now here we are.
I had the Commodore 64. I still regret that I never beat the game Aliens on it, and I've thought about downloading an emulator and trying to do it, because that was such a great thing, but never got back to it. So for those of them, for those of the folks listening right now that weren't listening to a episode of Bread and Butter about 145 episodes ago, where did the name Ridiculous Hat come from?
There was a girl in the cafeteria of high school, and she was wearing this absurd looking hat. It was like a Dr. Seuss hat, but it was like, I think it was Rastafarian colors. I don't know. It was kind of floppy. It was I had not seen a hat like this before. And I turned to my friend and said, she is so cool. She has to wear this ridiculous hat. And then later that day, I had to go register for a Magic the Gathering message board. And I didn't have a username. So I wrote in ridiculous hat. And almost 30 years later, I still use it.
It's one of those things where everybody always like has a kind of a story like that, like, oh, I was eating pizza and I wrote pizza and whatnot. And then we need to probably at some point, now that we know that usernames are kind of important, because they stick with you for so long, that there's got to be some kind of like process where it's like, no, are you sure you want that? Like, we'll have to revisit that when you're 18. Let's make sure we get you the proper name. Let's rebrand you correctly. But
Yeah, it is persisted just because I like that's just it. At a certain point, it becomes the identity, right? Like it just
Mhm.
becomes, and I don't know if who Ridiculous Hat is as a person is any different than who I am as an individual, like outside of this, as a human, whatever. We all have different facets, but that's just the identity that feels right at this point. And it just doesn't feel like I could change it, or I would want to.
Yeah. So you are the director of player experience for Illustrals, and you seem to be on the road quite a bit with that. What all does your job entail, both home and away?
So the great thing about working for a literal small indie company, I am employee number 5. We have contractors, of course, but I am the 5th employee. You get to make up your own title. And so I made up my title because it sounded good on LinkedIn. But it is accurate based on what I end up doing. So I own all the organized play systems, the whole structure around organized play. I also help guide live balance, and I help do player facing communications. So how the house they live in, the structure they live in for competing in the game, the way they experience the gameplay, and then also the way that we talk to them about the game, how they hear about the game from us. All of that lives with me. In addition to whatever else other odd jobs come up, of which there are some. Can be like event management, can be like project management. There's all sorts of stuff that just floats in and out of the periphery. Because again, literal small indie company.
So small indie company, and you did work for a not so small indie company. Were there things that you wish you could have done that, like, now that you have the opportunity to kind of build this from the ground up, that you're like, oh, I get to do this my way, and it's kind of like I get to figure out how I want to do this with the players and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's some degree of the company is more nimble because there's a lot less weight, organizational weight, and a lot fewer stakeholders. The consequences are, of course, they're smaller in scale. We're a smaller game, like a lot smaller game, and so there's a point where screwing something up just it impacts fewer people by multiple orders of magnitude. So it's hard for it to feel quite the same level of pressure. But there still are stakeholders. There still are decisions that have to be made. Your logic still has to be sound. You still have to explain it in a proper way. You have to articulate yourself well. So I am happy to have the opportunity to try some stuff with a little bit less organizational burden, but I don't actually think it's easier. It might be a simpler path, but I don't actually think it's easier. And the weight of authority still has some level of pressure to it, in that when there's not as much between me and what is gonna happen, that makes it feel like it's more important to get it right and listen to people, because my vision, not only do I have to explain it, but I have to see the consequences of people living within it. And so far, the things that we've done have been pretty positive, but, not universally so, and it's all a thing that we have to learn from.
How's it been being able to be among the players in person, who are passionate about the game at these different events?
Pretty cool. It's different. Uh, I missed shuffling cards around. I didn't miss having to
Mhm.
sort them. Uh,
Mhm.
it's It's a very there are some tactile elements as well as interaction, like in-person elements that are nice, but it is also my toll bill, my Easy Pass bill is way higher. Um, Gas is more expensive than I remember it being, thanks Obama. And there's longer nights and wear and tear in the car, like sitting in traffic more. I've been catching up on more podcasts because of it. Um, and it's really nice to see the same people every week or 2 and get to know them and be in that universe and build these small pockets. Though it is also careful to not project too much from a single store and view it as a representation of the whole player base, because it would be easy
Mhm.
to think I'm at the store, I understand the players. No, you understand these players. You got to be careful about not being in a bubble. But the people I've gotten to know, it's been a really positive experience.
So what's the elevator pitch for Elestrals, and can you describe it using other card games that other people might know already to kind of like bring it all together?
So the way so I'm gonna see if I can fire up the show sales pitch. Um, our founder, A Drive, is a Pokemon content creator. He was. He grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh, made his living on Pokemon, and said, "What if I put the two together in a game that I could shape that played like the game that I had growing up?" Um, But I think the part that's really compelling about the game is that there's a resource system where your mana is your life. So you have a 40 card deck, a 20 card spirit deck. Your spirits are what you use to pay for cards and also what your opponent is trying to attack. And the damage that you incur, it comes out of that same spirit deck. So those two things being enmeshed, combined with how the damage system in the game works, means that there's always comeback potential. If you invest a ton into the board, if you're way ahead, that means you're low on spirits. Someone could hit over. If you're behind, you're spending less. You have more to use down the road. And starting the game with all of your resources and then winding down in how much you have access to over the course of the game, it's a meaningfully different experience than than a lot of the other games on the market. It plays really well. They sent me a double starter to try it out before I joined the team. And I played with my wife, and the next day she said, "Can we play that Illustrials game again?" I've brought a lot of card games home. A lot of card games home over the years. That was the first.
Yeah. Will we be able to play the game online?
So I hope so. We do actually. So what we do for a lot of our online events, because we're a small game, we do webcam where it's like Spell Table. You take the webcam, you point it at your desk with physical cards that you have. We do have a digital client, but it's unfortunately not in the best state at the moment. We're working on that. I'm hopeful that there will be some kind of digital offering to avoid having to get the physical cards first just to learn the game. And there are some fan sims out there as well, like one called ClashNet that you can use to play the game. It's not really a great teaching tool, but it's great to play. And it's totally free. So we're working on ways to get to that. But as of right now, we're a little light in the digital offerings. We are a physical first game.
Are you looking to have a competitive scene as well?
Well, we do have one. We have the Illustrials Championship Series, and so that we had our World Championship in Vegas in March. I think we had 70 something people qualify for that, and they flew out. And so there's a lot of competing that people already do, and the online events as well. Those webcam events. The one we had yesterday had 101 people in it. So people are playing, competing right now all across the world.
So if someone wants to start playing, what's the best way for them to get started?
So check out a local game store near you, especially if you were in the eastern half of the US. That's where our highest density is. You can get a double starter and play against each other. It's 2 starter decks, 4 booster packs, and a paper playmat that teaches you the rules. $30 for that whole thing. So you can just take that out of the box and play with it. Lots of YouTube videos to help support. Join our Discord. But the best thing to do, definitely if your local store carries it, head on down there. The community is extremely friendly.
And if they don't have it, can we encourage them to start investing? Like, how do we get them to get Illustrials?
Have them go to partner.illustrials.com and apply, and we will be in touch with them shortly.
Fantastic.
Cool. Are there any particular mechanics or themes that really stand out?
So I would say the manage your life stuff is the really important part, but also it's Greek themed, which means you see a lot of gods in this game that are maybe in a different game that we'll talk about a little later. And so if you like Greek stuff, it's good. It's good stuff. So that thematically stands out. Also, the game is full of cute little guys. I love cute little guys. Our guy A-Drive, he made his money on Pokemon, and there's an entire generation of people that built their livelihoods around Pokemon. And so I'm saying it right now, 2026 is the year of the little guy. Like, it is just the era of little guys.
I think Pilot's Cat is trying to say it's actually the year of the cat.
Yes. So
Cats are little guys.
They are, especially this one that's trying to jump on camera. Yeah, I know Electric Sheep City was talking about Illustrials a little bit, a few months ago on one of the podcasts, and it talked about your resource system is also your life. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting, because I know I downloaded the mobile client, didn't have the mental capacity to try to figure out the game in the moment and want to come back to it, especially after hearing that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I live in a card game desert that's not Magic or Flesh and Blood, unfortunately.
Yes, those have pretty similar audiences. I've learned a lot about the different card gamer demographics, and Flesh and Blood is roughly targeted at people my age who want to go back to the Magic they played growing up in like 04, 05. Very much you can go back to that era and live that like PTQ-esque system and travel around and play the game and be really spiky. That is what Flesh and Blood is for. So there's a whole market for games like that for people that want to be in that space.
So you used to be on Twitter quite a lot, and you were known for this. In fact, I remember they offered a tweets per day stat at one point or whatever that was dangerous to look at, and your number was high. That's muted more nowadays. You're more retweeting and occasionally popping up about Alestrals. What has taken you talked about this a little bit earlier, so I'm assuming it's more of the same. But what has taken the place of all that time when you used to post? Like, what's in your hand now when you're? Because I'm sure you had Twitter right here all the time.
Well, Discord. When you have community management jobs, problems tend to come to you instead of you having to go find them. But also, Twitter no longer exists, and I'm not a huge fan of X the Everything website. So it's not the same place, and for a lot of different reasons. And my relationship with it is different. It was the vintage era of Hearthstone Twitter. I don't think I'll ever be able to replace. It was a different time in my life. It's a different time in that website's life. There was a lot going on there that I haven't found to be equivalent. But also, social media and the world at large have both changed pretty significantly. And it is not too hard for me to find myself just spiraling into a much more negative mood than I like to be on various social media platforms, Twitter being one of them. So in Discord, I mean, like I'm in the maximum number of Discords. Did you know there's a maximum you can't be in more than 200? So every time I want to join a Discord, I have to leave a Discord. So even though they're highly curated, there's usually something going on somewhere that I can pay attention to. And that time only goes so far. So the Illustrious community is pretty heavily focused on various Discords, and they have lots of little breakout groups, and some of it's the same people, some of it's different people. But that's where I find that interpersonal interaction a lot more. I do also still enjoy Reddit here and there, but I mostly browse it for that's not for work. I set a timer on my phone because I find myself mindlessly refreshing it. So I use the digital well-being timer to say that I can't be on it for more than an hour a day, um, just to give myself some personal accountability because it's very, very easy to get lost in the subreddit for a game you're enjoying or whatever. Or there's one that I really like called Little Grabbies, where it's just rats with little hands, like rodents with little hands, and they have cute little hands and they're little grabbies. And there's another one called Eat Sandwiches that's just about pictures of sandwiches. Like I could be there all day. I had to set a timer because like there's got to be a limit somewhere. But I think the urge to be seen is a lot lower on this side of 40. And when you work in community management, a lot of your life is spent not being screenshotable. And so you just got to be really careful about what you say. I don't think that people have used that maliciously against me, but it's more about just thinking about the risks comes a little more readily. And thinking about the upside is a little harder to find, especially in this day and age.
That's very fair. So before we move on to the next topic, is there anything else you want to say about Alestrials, or just wrap up that up?
Alestrals. There's no I.
Alestrals. I always do that. I try. Well,
Everyone
I
always
say
does
things
that,
wrong.
which is why I'm correcting. It's no, this is so it's
I think it's the first time I messed it up tonight.
Possibly.
it's maybe it's the first I noticed, but it is elemental is the first half, and then I think it's astral. I think it's elemental and astral. You put them together. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Sounds plausible, right? Okay, we'll roll with that. No, we can
believable.
Yeah, we can just keep on moving. Like I think the game is fun, but I'm doing my best to not be defined by work as much these days. Easier some days than others. So I am happy to move on to the rest of the topics you have written down here.
So you've been known to host a podcast or two, or
On
three,
occasion,
or four. So I had been waiting. I'm honestly when we found out about Hades 2 and you had been not podcasting for then, I was waiting for Hidden Aspects to return. And it didn't. So has there been any thought of bringing that back? Or I know you mentioned that you're trying to get an Lestrals podcast going, but have you missed podcasting? Like, where's the podcasting?
so I don't miss producing. I do miss podcasting. I do think that there is some degree of timing with Hades 2, where it was right after I started the new job, and it
Mm.
was I wasn't feeling as interested in being as much in the public eye at the time, just because I had very recently come out of it in a pretty noisy way. And I don't know. I like talking about games like that, and I had plenty of conversations about it here and there. Um, I think what I find with podcasts and where I want that kind of energy and structure to go is in something that has a degree of self-sustaining consistency. And what I found with Hidden Aspects is that I was trying to have the same structure every week with a different guest and a different topic, and it was a little bit too much. Okay, I have to reinvent the wheel every week and then try and put it into this mold. And I was happy with the 20 episodes we got out, and it was with a bunch of lovely people. And I'm glad I did it. But I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to do with Hades 2. I didn't have as many connections. I wasn't looking to push and make a bunch of new ones. I didn't have the time or energy for it, considering I was focused a lot on pivoting my job and identity. And I left Hearthstone after 10 years, and I had a pretty big gap there. And it just didn't feel like the right time. Now, I did consider, and I still am considering, what if I just yapped with my wife and we recorded it and put it out there just for, again, because you make podcasts to talk, not to be heard. Because people will hear you sometimes, but you do it to talk, not to be heard. Hi, cat. I heard the cat.
Cat wanted to be
Um,
heard.
yes, right. So cats are the original podcasters, um, and so it didn't feel like it was the right fit, and I enjoyed just playing the game and doing the thing. I was still thinking about it a lot, and I still had a lot of things that I wanted to say, but it felt right to enjoy it and process it and allow it to shape my perspective on things without, at that time, going super wide with it.
There's a question. So lost track of where we were. You're well known in the gaming community for a few things, but one of them is definitely your love of Hades. What in your mind makes Hades such a good franchise?
Franchise. I mean, okay, so Hades as a game, Hades 1 was perfect place, perfect time, perfect execution. Hades
Mhm.
2, and this is something that I've noticed with a few different games that I've played. Hades 2 is a better structural game. It plays better, it's more interesting, it's got more depth, it's better balanced, the systems are cleaner. Nothing will ever come close to place and time for Hades 1 for me, just because it was perfect. And it did that with a base of nothing, as opposed to Hades 2, which did that with the base of Hades 1.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things that they streamline in Hades 2, when you streamline, sometimes you remove some rough edges that you remember from the first game. And when you have fewer memories formed around a game, sometimes it can feel like it can fade away from your mind faster. I played as much Hades 2, I think, as I did. I'm not sure if it's as much Hades 2 as I did Hades 1, but I did 32 Fear both on both paths on every aspect. So that's, what is that? 48, 32 Fear clears. I haven't done that on the new game mode yet for all 32 or for all 24 aspects, but I hope to. Um, it's just perfectly executed in a way that I'm sure you two have noticed. Hades 1 changed the gaming space. It changed what a roguelike looks like. And so being able to be that impactful with the game because it's just so well done and so focused in its execution is pretty special. And Hades 2, I think, it is an improvement on the first game in a lot of ways, but it also won't ever be Hades 1 because Hades 1 was a like unbelievable masterpiece out of nowhere in the perfect place at the perfect time. If that answers the question.
So it's very easy to say this is my last run and look up 3 hours, 8 runs later, and you're still playing. So what do you think it is about Hades that makes it such a the right game and perfect game and makes it so hard to put down?
Oh, it's the loop, right? It's the Hades was successful because it integrated narrative into a roguelike and because it made it so that dying was good. when you die, you get more dialogue. And when you get more dialogue, it naturally pushes you through the house. When it pushes you through the house, the best spot to quit a run is when you're standing in front of the weapons and the door. And when you're standing in front of the weapons and the door, you're like, well, the weapon's right here and the door's right there. What if I just picked this up and
Just-
went over there?
Just click the button.
And then you're in the first room. And I read this post on Blue Sky that I think is really accurate. That said, no matter what gamers will tell you, what they love the most is picking one out of three things. And so you go in the first room and you pick one out of three things. Like, well, that was cool. I wonder what the next one out of three things is going to be. And you just keep doing that until you finish the run. And then you get dumped into new narrative. Ooh, I'll just see what they say. And then I'll quit. And then you end up in front of the weapons and the door. And you're like, well, the door's right over there and the weapons right. You see it where there is not an ounce of fat on that loop. Like, it is
No.
perfectly drilled in.
I think the timing of that loop helps a lot too, because it's not like the runs are super long. They're long enough to be enjoyable, but not long enough to where like I have to plan the next like hour around this game. So it's so easy to be like, yeah, I can get one more in. I can get one more in.
You should plan the next hour, but
You
it's
should.
But so another thing that I don't think the game does this intentionally. I think this works. The way that they calculate in-game time is it stops the clock for so many things.
Yes.
But then to the end of a run, you see like 25 minutes. Well, I have another 25 minutes, let alone that
Yep.
it took you 45 minutes to log that 25 minutes. But also the real thing there is you want to do another run. So you do another run. And there's a lot of justification for it, but game fun to play is important.
And you get to pet a frog when you're done with every run. At least in the
I love Freenos.
82.
I have a plushie Freenos, and I talk to him all the time. He's a very good listener.
Have you seen any other roguelike you've played ever come close to Hades, or have you seen the success become a style of game that others are trying to chase?
I mean, they definitely are, and you can see a lot of knockoff Hades, of course. Like, you can see a lot of games that are isometric roguelike, pick one of three things routinely with narrative back at the base, like plenty of that. The roguelike space is definitely interesting because as the games industry gets more polarized, where you have these AAA studios with hundreds of millions of dollars spent 6 years, and the other end you have solo devs or really small teams that are trying to do a lot with a little. And there are some AA studios in the middle, which Supergiant, who makes Hades, is one of them. When you can save a lot on the content, like make fewer levels and have fewer people talking and fewer animations and all that really expensive stuff that you are kind of priced into having at AAA, but you don't need at the indie level. Roguelikes are great for that because you just make like 4 levels and you make them really, really good, and then people play them hundreds of times. But Hades really introduced narrative in a major way that has shaped a lot of roguelikes. But I don't think that was the first breakout hit roguelike that we should be talking about. We should be talking about Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire 1. And Slay the Spire 2 was fantastic because, like, what is Slay the Spire 1? But we made more cards. And there, like, obviously it's more than that. But I think Slay the Spire is a great illustration of what it looks like when a game studio, what that game does, it has some really important innovations. The intent system is really important, right? Seeing what the enemy is going to do floating over their heads. But most of the power of that game, most of the success of that game is what if we made all the cards really interesting? Like, what if we just designed things well and did that for every card in the game? It's just pure execution on the designs of making really fun designs and some pretty systems that at least feel basic because they're simple. They're not easy to design, but they're simple. That's a big difference. That kind of execution, it's hard to be that good at making cards, which is why most games that try and do that don't hit the same marks. But Slay the Spire 1 and Slay the Spire 2 both did that, and Slay the Spire 2 really kicked up the production quality. The other big roguelike of that addictive trifecta is Balatro, which I'm sure you both have played. And that
I have refused to install that because I know what it'll do to me.
Put it on your phone. You can do that. You can put it on your phone. It's on mobile. It's really
could
fun.
be even worse.
It's so like there are other indie games close to Hades. I think is not the mark I'm trying to hit. I don't need another Hades in my life just because
Yeah.
Hades is Hades, and I can go back and play Hades forever, and it will always be fun. So the other indie roguelike outside of those three that I've played recently that I really like that I want to recommend is called Starvaders. It is grid based, where it's a lot of movement. There are 5 tile rows and vertical columns and a bunch of different classes and a bunch of different enemy interactions and wacky combos, and it's really fun and well done. It's not Hades, it's not Slay the Spire, it's not Balatro, but I don't need it to be. This was a game that I played for 40 or 50 hours and I had a really great time with. So would recommend that.
So you already kind of mentioned, Hades 2 had some big shoes to fill as a sequel. How do you think they did on that?
It's a great game. I think it plays better than Hades 1. The story is not as resonant to me, but nothing will ever be as resonant as playing that game and discovering that style of game, which they basically like firmed up and invented, combined with a
Mhm.
story that hit that hard by being that big and that small. It's a story about a family. It's about 3 people. Like there's a lot of other stuff going on around it, but that is a small story about a family that feels enormous and gripping while you're in it. And I don't think that anything will come close to that. And I don't think the Hades 2 story did come close to that. And I kind of like, I care, but I don't care enough to not play Hades 2. I really enjoy it. And the mechanics and systems and all that I think are just better designed.
So, how do you like the fear system as composed to the heat system, though?
It's better balanced. Like it's the heat system was about just learning the good deals and the bad deals. And the fear system still has that rough structure, but the deals are more even across the board. And I think more importantly, they recognized the most fun thing should probably be the hardest thing because you want to do that as opposed to doing the easiest stuff. So they took what was extreme measures, which is modifying the bosses in Hades 1, and turned into Vow of Rivals in Hades 2. They put a ton of pomp and circumstance around it. You have to earn the different levels. There are prophecies and mid level rewards. The changes to the bosses are larger, and they really encourage you to do this and treat it as a badge of honor as opposed to in Hades 1 the correct thing to do was turn that on as quickly as possible so you got used to it because those bosses were not majorly changed and it was a good source of heat and it only started to get difficult at the 3rd level. So they aligned it better. I think it's harder to tell at a glance when you look at Hades 2 what the good deals are. You can tell what the bad deals are, but it's harder to tell what the good deals are, and they made it so that the thing that seems the coolest should be the hardest and most fun, and then they check both boxes. So I think they did a really good job there.
Yeah, one of my first runs, I think a 15 run, I had chosen the one that doesn't. I thought it was just I couldn't gain any more health, like my health couldn't go, but it was basically I couldn't heal, and I was a little surprised, but we made it through that. What do you think about the dream mechanic?
Dream dives are awesome. So what I really like, some really elegant solves that they made in Hades 2. Jeweled Palm and Fate's Whim, I think is a genius system because what they did in Hades 1 is they made it, hey, it's a roguelike, but secretly you can pretty much just pick what you want by taking God keepsakes and rolling. And then in Hades 2, they said, okay, but remember how at the start of the game you didn't know where you were looking for, so you just took some stuff. And you didn't know what to roll for, so you just took some stuff. What if we made it so that after you know everything, that was still the best way to play? You just take some stuff. So they do that with Jewel Palm by juicing a bunch of levels. And then you can turn up the difficulty and it keeps up with you for basically the entire thing. These geniuses somehow made it so that getting rid of the ability to choose what you want in a game that's supposed to have its difficulty baked in a random choice is worth it to get random choice back and play in a more novel, fun way while still winning as much. They made it so that for content creators, for anyone that wants to grind this forever, it's more fun to embrace that. And it's better to embrace that. And dream dives are kind of more of the same. They are harder than any other run you could do, but it is more fun and more dynamic. And your run will be different from someone else's. They made a roguelike that was endlessly replayable, somehow more replayable. Don't know how they did it. Total geniuses.
I hadn't played Hades 2 for like about a month and a half, and I booted up on Saturday night, and it was like, "Hey, there's something new over there." So I went over there and I jumped in, and I didn't realize that I was still on Heat 20. So my first dream, I went in Heat 20, and it was very chaotic. I'm like, this seems harder than it should be.
And some of it is how the scaling works, but like, yeah, it is harder because you should be doing it after you beat the game multiple times, which means they need it to be a little harder because otherwise it's not interesting.
What do you like most about the new stuff they added in Hades 2?
I think a lot of it is more on execution on the way they tune stuff. In Hades 1, it was correct to pick one thing, juice that one thing, search for one duo, and just do that. Just do that thing. In Hades 2, you get rewarded for just damage soup. Like, just pick a bunch of different stuff.
Yep.
It is better to take more boons than to level a single one. And I like the idea that it is better for you to see more choices than reject more choices. The fun thing is the best thing. So, like, I could talk about the mana system. I could talk about how gathering and all that stuff obfuscates the progression. They did a good job of making it so that the player can't optimize the fun out of the game. They have a lot of really rigid systems and gates to keep up with you, but they look random, and they're not, but they look random. And just the way that they hit all that stuff is brilliant. But I think that my favorite part is that you just are supposed to pick stuff, and taking boons is good, as opposed to leveling single boons and going for single duos.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that in what I've played because I got quite a few runs in, didn't finish it. Didn't finish downstairs before 1.0, and I started just a fresh save file and I'm like 10, 12 runs in, somewhere in there. But I've definitely felt that of just get stuff that does damage or seems fun for what you're doing and what you want to play, and it's probably going to work out better than, oh, these two seem to synergize, but it's awkward.
Yeah, the player power feels a little bit higher, but also the enemy power scales up pretty sharply towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's better to have more stuff that does stuff, but the execution is still really, really important.
Yeah. So who do you like better, Melanoy or Zagreus, both to play and just as a character, and why?
Zag character, Mel play. Again, narrative in the first one, I think was just overall cleaner. But the mana stuff is cool.
So
Yeah.
in Hades, I love Melanoe. I just love I love the character. But who's your favorite bosses in Hades 1 and 2, and why?
Hades 1 Asterius. He is my favorite character in that game, and I just love the begrudging relationship he has with Zag. And in Hades 2, oh, Scylla. Scylla and the Sirens are
Yes.
just the characterization that they did. Erin Yvette is the voice actress for Scylla. She also does the voice for Dora. She does both voices. Incredibly talented.
Oh, nice.
Really funny. She was also she's in Metroid Prime 4. She was this character called Samus. She's great. If you play Dispatch, she was Blonde Blazer. Incredible banger year. Scylla sings in character somehow, and is just like this petty Midwestern housewife that also is a sea demon. I don't know how they pulled it off, but she's just really, really funny. Like, you can hear her basically say "ope," but like, and she has the accent, but also she does want to claw your eyes out and drown you to death.
That's probably my favorite fight too, and I love how it's like when you defeat parts of it, the music change, like parts of the music stop, and then you get that one time you get in there and the music's different. It's like, what the hell is this?
There are 4 songs. There are 4 songs that they made for this one boss. Ridiculous. Just a ridiculous amount of effort and attention to detail.
Yeah, I distinctly remember the first time that I reached Skill. I'm like, this is my favorite fight of the game. Like, I don't think it's going to be beat. I really just enjoyed that room and that fight and everything about it.
Yep.
Speaking, kind of tying in with that, the music in the game is so good, and just
both games.
It makes it so much. What do you feel about it makes it so good and so memorable?
Darren Korb is a mad genius.
Mm-hmm.
The Supergiant Games is a small independent studio of people that have known each other for a really long time, and they formed 15 years ago now. And I believe all the founding members are still there. when you have that little turnaround, when you have that much time to establish and reinforce your brand and to be who you are and to bring really talented people together and value them, you get stuff like Hades, right? Like it's Bastion won awards for its sound design, and Darren
Yep.
has only gotten better since then. I saw him in concert with Ashley Barrett, who was longtime collaborator and the voice of Red and Transistor, etc. I saw them in concert playing 90 minutes worth of songs from the Supergiant discography. Incredible, remarkable stuff. And you can tell that they just really enjoy what they do. They're really good at what they do. So, how did they make it so good? I have no idea. Why is it so good? Talent and perpetuity and creative freedom.
Yeah, it's just the sound design is so good. The music is it's good enough to notice, but doesn't get in the way. And that's a very fine line, I think, to walk for a game. But also, they just do so much. Wasn't it in the first game the acoustic qualities changed in the house as you added stuff?
Yeah, so they turned up the reverb on the House of Hades when you get there and it's empty. And as you add more furniture, they turn down the reverb because there's stuff to dampen the room. That level of detail only comes from people at the top of their craft that are
Yep.
given the time and energy to get things that precise.
It's not on
And
there, but
like
sorry,
you
go ahead.
said, with the Skillify, dropping the instruments as you kill each member of the
Yep.
band is just it's you don't have to do that, but it's awesome that they did.
So, do you like Dora or Dusa better?
I mean, I will never say no to Dusa. Like Dusa's my girl. Dora is funny. Dora is Daria from MTV's
Yes.
Daria. Yes, right. And so she's hilarious, and I'm a big fan. But like, I want to give Dusa a hug, and I still want to do that to this day. But also, neither would want to compete. Dusa would be anxious, and Dora would be bored. So, like, I don't think that they're in competition. They wouldn't tell you they're in competition.
hmm So, what is your comfort weapon in each game? The one that I'm going to play one run, I'm going to play this weapon.
Hades won Gilgamesh Merciful End fists. It has to be Merciful End. As you know, I just like the dash and smash. Hades 2, there isn't really one the same way. I actually find the weapons to be generally pretty interesting across the board, and they're diverse.
hmm
But I find myself gravitating more towards the torches, and they all play pretty differently too. I guess I would lean either Moros or Supai, but I like all of them. That's a weapon that really grew on me that I thought I was going to dislike when I first played it in early access, but they did so much work to refine it, and it's now one of my favorites.
Pyle and I were talking about this the other night. Both of us like gravitated towards Shield in Hades 1, and there really wasn't kind of that same feel of any of the weapons in Hades 2.
I mean,
Really,
coat.
it kind of, but I don't know. The Shield in Hades 2, I like the scythes there, the two little
Sister
things, and
Blades.
yeah, the
Yeah.
final aspect of that, whatever. I'm horrible at remembering names of characters and weapons, but the final one there. And actually, it was funny too because I was talking about the game in your Discord hidden aspects, and I had got to Hades 2, and I'm playing along the game, and I'm talking about builds and whatnot. And then I unlocked the hidden aspect. I was like, I forgot about that. That there are hidden aspect.
Yep. And they're more consistent to earn in Hades 2, which I think is a nice touch.
Yes.
hmm Yeah, Hades 1, I played a lot of shields, specifically Zeus. Just send a spinning shield out, do a bunch of stuff, let it come back, and load up my special. That was something that worked for me. I haven't quite found what I like in 2 yet. I have started to go towards the flames and torches a little bit, but I don't have any aspects unlocked yet in this save file. So I haven't found something that I've been drawn to yet.
So for the torch, it put the most important card in Hades 2 is Origination on the Arcana. If you have 2 curses, you deal 50% more damage.
Yep.
Just go Blitz and Scorch. One in the special, one on the attack.
hmm
Do your Omega special as soon as you enter a room, and then
Yep.
dash around, hit people with both. You'll clear the run.
I had a hard time getting my head around Torch at first. That's
For for 3 of the aspects, it is Omega special when you enter the room, then dash around and attack people. For Eos, it's the other way around. You Omega attack, and then you special. And for Supai, you just have to get something good on the Rush Boon. But the torches are good because they apply statuses. You have 2 different statuses you apply at the same time. That is the main reason why they're good. And so just putting 1 on the special, 1 on the attack is usually enough. There's more depth to it if there need to be, but that is like the torch in a nutshell pitch.
That will be what I do next.
You'll have fun.
So I did start to figure that out. I'm like, okay, I use the Omega special. I go around, hit a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So in your opinion, do you think they should make a Hades 3? Should they try to take the same formula and work it into another IP, or just kind of walk away from the style as is and leave it where it's at?
Hi, Cat. So I think they should do what they want to do, because I don't think that they can do wrong if they believe in it, if they feel
Mhm.
strongly about it. My guess is that they will make a different game instead of Hades 3. I don't know what
Mhm.
they'll make. My guess is that Hades 2 is the end of the line for them. That is a guess, and they could go further, but I don't know how much else they have to say in this space. And I find that Supergiant really likes making a game where they have something to say. They could. They could do it, and it would be a good game. They absolutely could. I think they won't, but if they wanted to, I would be thrilled. But if they want to make something else, I'd be thrilled as well. I bet that they will find something fun to do.
They can reunite Malenoe and Zagreus and have a co-op Hades.
They could do that. I don't think they will, but they could. There are a lot of different ways for them to go. They've made all of their games have had the same kind of isometric art style, so I'm wondering what else they'll do that. But I wouldn't be surprised they go back to the narrative RPG kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because the thing for Supergiant that you can depend on is that the narrative will be a strong driving force behind whatever they want to do. So I'm curious where they end up with that.
Now, this was not a style of game that I typically play. I'm a little older than you, so my Boomer APM is probably a little slower. But because of you and how passionate you were about it, I picked it up. I said I might as well try it, and I fell in love with it. So, what is for some people that haven't picked up the game because this is not the kind of style I would play? What would you say to those people?
I would say pick up the game. If you play it for 10 hours and you don't like it, I will PayPal you the money that you paid.
Wow.
I have made that offer a double-digit number of times, and I have never once paid a dime because it just is the truth. It's so the thing, maybe the most important thing about Hades that we haven't even talked about yet is God mode. Of what happens when you say, I want more people to play my game. God mode is a setting in the menu. You go into the setting, you check a box that says God mode. In Hades 1, it's a box. In Hades 2, it's a box with a slider, I think. It makes you take less damage. The more you die, the less damage you take. That is it. Now, it will change how your victory screen is displayed. There's a small icon on there that you can see it is played with God mode. But otherwise, no character comments on it. Doesn't change any of the achievements. Doesn't change anything about your in-game experience other than you don't die as much. But there's no part of the game that judges you or even acknowledges it in any way outside of putting a small symbol on the victory screen so that if you screenshot it and brag to someone, they know that you're on God mode because they don't want someone doing like a max heat run hiding the fact that they were on God mode. But otherwise, it just makes it so that more people can play how they want to play. And if they're not normally that good at it, they can just do this and have the game help them see what the story is. And this has been a trend that the industry has thankfully been going on lately of having more ways to see what the game has to offer on your own terms. And the fact that Hades was one of the first to do it in this way that is so player friendly and so helpful with so little acknowledgement from the in-game systems and support means that it's really shown how you can make a game with a broader appeal without really compromising any of your artistic sensibilities. Expedition 33 had story mode, same kind of thing. There are lots of other games that have this kind of thing, and it's just good for it to be there. So, because of that, I don't believe the difficulty to be something that will hold back anyone that wants to play a video game. And so, as long as you've played video games before, and this looks like the kind of experience you think you might want to have even a little bit, just probably go play it. And you can buy Hades 1. There are so many sales. You can get it for like $5. Just do it. Just do it. It's like less than a gallon of gas in California. Just do it.
I was conflicted about the God mode personally because it feels like cheating on some level, and it's for me. I was kind of like it was like taking. I felt like I was taking a step back at first, but then I was like, especially in Hades 1, I don't think I did, but then in Hades 2, I was like, I'm just going to do it, and then I got to the point where I played on God mode for a little while, and then I got my first clears, and then I was like, well, I started doing heat. I'm like, well, this doesn't seem right, so I turned it off, and I then was able to. I figured the game out, and I was able to do without the heat. But it's one of those things where it's like it kind of feels like putting on the training wheels, right? And you're like, well, I'm a gamer. I shouldn't need to put on the training wheels, but it's definitely it's good. It's to tell you the story and get you used to the game, especially if it's not a game kind of game that you're used to playing. So get over it. Really, it took me a little bit, but I got
It's
over it.
having a smoother on ramp for the people that need it is good. And if you don't need it, you don't check it. And if you tell yourself, I don't need it, but then you want to play more, but you're not having fun dying, you God mode until that stops happening, until you figure out more of the game, and then you can turn it off. But if your choice is either not having fun or yes having fun, I choose yes. And I would recommend that to anyone of choose yes, have fun. And that doesn't mean turn God mode on right away. Feel free to try it. If it's too hard, you can do that. But if it's not, you can just play, and if it is, you can just turn it on, and if it is sometimes, but not other times, you can turn it on sometimes, not other times. You do what you want. No one is gonna judge you, and if they do judge you, that's on them, not on you. The devs put this in the menu for you to check that box when you need it. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. Before we kind of get into the last couple of questions and steer away from Hades for a few, is there anything else that you want to say about the game that we might not have asked you about?
I don't know if there's anything else to even ask about here, but no, I feel like we were pretty exhaustive.
All right. Do you think that Hades in some way could be made into a card or board game?
Yes. It's put the boons on cards and then
Yeah.
deal them 3 at a time and pick one. It's picking one out of 3 things rules. Just do that for an hour in paper and you'll be fine.
So odds are, if someone's listening to this podcast right now, people know who you are, and on some level, some way, shape, or form, they've heard of Ridiculous Hat. Maybe not everybody, but I would say most people. What is something people might find surprising about you? It could be serious or silly or anything like that, but something that maybe they don't know yet.
Well, I don't know what they don't know. I don't know. I should probably clarify that it's probably surprising them that they haven't played Hearthstone since July of last year. That I've moved on. I spent 10 years with it, happy with that time. But it was time for me to go. And what I noticed about it is how much of my muscle memory was spent. If I was sitting at my computer, I'd finished clearing out my emails and checked all my Discord tabs of the mouse wandering down to the taskbar looking for the BNet icon. Of just logging in, clicking play for a second. Even if I just logged in to check decks, even if I just went to HS Guru to copy a deck list and paste in, maybe I play a game. I looked for that Battle.net icon for a while. And I didn't always know I was looking for it. But I drifted my mouse would drift down and it would be next to the Steam icon and be like, oh, that's what I'm doing. So, it's nothing. I wish nothing but the best to the team and the players and whatever. There's no ill will here. But it was time for me to go. And there was some withdrawal. I definitely noticed it. But now I am living a life free of live service video games. Of course, I work on a card game where I've opened a lot of booster boxes. I don't want to say I'm free of external financial demands with recurring costs because that would be misleading. But in terms of, I don't have any daily quests. And like outside of doing the dishes, I don't have any daily quests. That is a relatively new experience for me for a while. I guess you can count the Wordle as daily quest. I don't know, but it is a different thing, and I'm glad I'm making that adjustment. But it's taking a bit for my brain to get there.
I did the same thing a few years ago when I had been playing Warcraft for 17 plus years. I had been running a raiding guild since Burning Crusade. And then I made a shift to try to start becoming a content creator. And I was trying to do Hearthstone. I was trying to do WoW, even some, other games. And it was like trying to run a guild, trying to make content for it. Was so much. And then I had some guild drama one day, and I just kind of was like, I'm done. Like this is done. And I haven't played Warcraft since the first expansion of Dragonflight. And it's been weird, and it took a while. I definitely had withdrawal too, but I can't see myself going back to WoW, but I can also see myself installing at some point and playing again. Can you see yourself ever installing Hearthstone again and playing it?
I'm not looking right now. So like it's seeing myself means I would have to look in that world. I am trying not to project different ways that my time could go if I'm looking for an outlet like that. It's possible, but there's living in the world of physical TCGs. There are a lot of different games I could see myself engaging with. Hearthstone would be one of them. But in the physical space, so Pilot mentioned Flesh and Blood. Speaking as a person that grew up in the period that is currently being laser bullseye targeted by the Flesh and Blood team, I could be in that game world in 2 seconds, and that would be a time, money, and focus sink that is easier for me to see right now than going back to the digital space. The digital space is a different kind of engagement, and I need to keep the physical skills honed at the moment just because that's the world I want to be successful in, and the digital world is different, even though it tries to convince you that it's the same. So I'm not saying no, I would never. I'm saying right now, maybe I could see myself, but I'm not looking, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think Pilot has one of the more important questions to wrap this up with.
Yes. Has your stance on hot dogs being sandwiches changed over the past few years?
I'd say so. I think a hot dog is a hot dog. It's tautological, dogological, hotological, there is no point when you ever ask for a hot dog and expect to be handed a sandwich or a taco. And there's no point where you say, I want a sandwich and get a hot dog back, or order a taco and get a hot dog back, where you say, this is exactly what I ordered. It is more than the sum of its parts. It is a unique construction built out of unique ingredients. And so, while the sandwich taco classification may be helpful from a bird's eye view, if you want a hot dog, you ask for a hot dog. And if you go to Costco, you know what you're getting. You're not getting a taco. You're not getting a sandwich. You got that dog in you.
Or two.
I mean, I refuse to admit that on here, but I'm not opposed to it.
So normally we ask a question of the week after an interview, and we have two for you this week. One, you've been known, everyone that knows you, or at least has some kind of knows you as a a personality, knows that you have a love of cheese. So my question for you is, if you were in charge of the first Alestrals Con and you're in charge of the charcuterie board, what cheese and meats are on that?
I'll defer that to the event planner. I'm more of a big picture guy. So the thing about meats and cheeses, it would be hard for you to pick a cheese that I was dissatisfied with. And that level of detail would be easy to lose oneself in and also low ROI. Like, the difference between the best cheese spread and an average one is relatively low in terms of actual impact on the player experience. So while I would love to do that for my own purposes, on a scale that large, you're mostly looking for mass market appeal, and also you have people that really specialize in that kind of thing, and that's not my skill set as much. So I bet that if I ask someone who is good at picking meats and cheeses to curate meats and cheeses, I don't need to know the details, and I'll be happy when I get there, and I'll be happy enough.
I believe that's Deck Tech's wife.
Yeah. Oh, she
So
is good, right?
I've only heard. But yes, I've seen some of the pictures too on Twitter, I believe. So final question is, this is a new one I heard the other day and I thought you might like it. Is sour cream a liquid or a solid?
Non-Newtonial. It's neither. Non-Newtonial materials do not fit into liquid, solid, or gas. You would never have a glass of sour cream, and you can't pick up sour cream with your hands unless you freeze it. Like you can reach into some and get some of the goo on your hands, but it is a non-Newtonial object. If you could pick it up cleanly with your hands and it didn't like splatter, then sure it's a solid. And if you could pour a full glass of it and drink it, then it's a liquid. But it's neither of those things.
That's fair. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by joining us over at patreon.com/breadandbutterhs. You get access to the raw audio early. You get access to a members channel on Discord. You get to help shape future questions. And if you'd like to help us in a non-financial way, just let people know about the show and let us know how we're doing. And obviously leave a review. It always helps if we have those good 5 stars. People know that this is a good podcast and we have great guests and wonderful. And you can also find us at Bread and Butter HS on YouTube. And now that it is a new month, we have a new patron of the month, and that is Becken. So congratulations, Becken, for being our patron of the month. And we will shout your name out all month. And I hope you like it. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me twitter.com/ridiculoushat, not x.com, twitter.com. You can also find me over on Blue Sky at the best way is actually to go to the vanity URL that I purchased for it. You can go to ridiculous.chat and you will find my Blue Sky. And otherwise, I'm in a lot of Hearthstone Discords. If you're listening to this, I'm probably in one of the Discords, including the Bread and Butter one. Feel free to say hi.
Pilot?
You can find me Pilot712, PYLAT, on Twitter and Blue Sky, as well as Discord.
And you can find me at Tito Santana HS on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and especially YouTube. Hat, anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week?
If you still got parents, call your mother.
That's
Important to do.
fair.
Call people in your family that you love. Don't know how long it'll be, mother or father. I'm gonna. It's too late now to call them, but I'm gonna call them tomorrow. Call your mother.
Wise words. Pilot, how about yourself?
Yeah, first huge shout out to you, Hat, for joining us, and 2, huge shout out, for those of you looking to jump into Illustrals. Shout out for the website being easy to manage and navigate, unlike some others. I've trying to find, even seeing that there aren't stores around me, it's easy to find compared to some others, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
And yeah, same as Echoes. Thanks, Hat, for coming on. Appreciate it. It's been a while, and it's always good to hear from you. Hopefully, not the last time. And again, you guys, I think we're toast. We'll see you.
Bye.
See you later.
All right, so that wasn't too painful, I don't think, right? That's fun.
We'll see what happens when I stand up. My lower back says stuff.
Oh no, just wait till you get to my age.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll sneak up on me. I only feel my age in my back and in my mortgage.
Oh yeah, the mortgage is the worst. Yeah. So thank you very much. We appreciate having you on. It was, I think, it was a lot of fun. Good to talk about other things.
Yeah, it is. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
and make sure you tell. Oh, God.
I definitely feel that switch of being able to play a physical game again. Like, I played Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh with my brothers growing up, and I jumped into Lorcana about a year or so ago. And it's a different mental exercise compared to digital, and I love being able to shuffle and sort cards again, or not sort, play with, not sort. I have a pile still over here.
It's weird because like I grew up so Ice Age, The Dark. That's the time I played basic uh first edition Magic, and I just recently sold a bunch of my cards to pay the oil bill over the winter, and like I got rid of a lot of things. I figured if I want to build anything new anyway, a lot of those old cards maybe I could use them, but I'd be better off to get new cards. And I got a commander deck for my birthday, and I still haven't played. And it's like it's kind of like hard to get back into a physical card game when you haven't like I can just load up my game on my computer and play here where you know I have to go and meet up with people, which is good. And we've been talking about doing it at work or going to a card shop or something. And it's like it's a different commitment versus hey, I'm just gonna launch up and maybe we can play online or something like that. But it's weird. It's hard to get back into that when you've been out of it for a while and kind of
Mhm.
change that mindset. And I love it, but it's just been hard to turn that switch again.
It is a different level of commitment and investment, like a pretty significant one. And in some ways that can be good, and in other ways that can be challenging to fit into life. And it's you have to have the room for it, and you have to want it and need it in some kind of way.
Yep.
Yes, and I do, and I want to like, and it's just like I want to play Magic. I want to play Lorcana. Just about anything. Like I want to go play D&D, but it's just there's only so much you can do in a day, and you have to kind of decide what are those things you're going to do and what's more important and how to get there.
Yeah.
Well, I,
Uh,
I make sure you tell Kite we said hello. Um,
Yes.
will do. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for having me.
thank
Yep,
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yep. See you around.
And everyone that stopped by, thank you for hanging out tonight. We appreciate you. And yeah, have a great night.
Oh
The cat
my
says goodbye.
goodness, cat.
All right. All right, Pilot. I'll talk to you. Maybe I could probably do duos in a minute if you want.
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, I'll catch you over there in a few.